What if I told you that the main reason so many governments around the world get nervous, angry, or even try to ban Bitcoin is not because it is used for illegal activities or because it is too volatile, but because they literally cannot print it, and that single fact takes away their most powerful tool for controlling economies, funding wars, paying for big programs, and quietly taking value from your savings without you ever noticing. Yeah, you heard that right. Normal money called fiat works because governments and central banks can create as much of it as they want whenever they feel like it. They use this power to pay for everything from massive spending programs to bailouts to conflicts. But every time they print more, your money slowly loses value. It is like a hidden tax that hits everyone who holds cash or earns wages. Bitcoin is completely different. It was built with a hard, unbreakable rule: only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. No government, no central bank, and no person on earth can create more. It is like digital gold with a permanent limit built into its code. That is exactly why many governments do not like it. They lose their biggest tool, the ability to print money on demand. They cannot quietly inflate away debt or control the economy as easily as before. If you have ever felt frustrated watching prices at the grocery store or gas station keep rising while your paycheck stays the same, or if you have wondered why some countries try to restrict or ban Bitcoin, then buckle up. Because today we are ripping open why governments hate Bitcoin, they cannot print it. And the simple truth about how fiat money gives politicians unlimited power, the hard-coded limit that makes Bitcoin different, and the real-life examples from Argentina to other nations that prove this battle is about control, not technology. Stick with me until the very last word, because the documented history of money printing, the mechanics of how Bitcoin protects value, the stories of ordinary people using it to escape inflation, and the deeper reason this fight will shape the future of money for all of us will leave you equal parts enlightened and motivated to see the system clearly. If you have ever felt the quiet pain of inflation eating your savings, or you want to understand why Bitcoin makes some powerful people nervous, hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, so you never miss these deep dives, and drop a comment below telling me whether you own any Bitcoin, or if this explanation has you thinking about it for the first time. I read every single comment, and we are building this conversation together as a community that demands the real, unfiltered truth about money and power. Welcome to Money's Hidden Past. Rich people lied, we fact-checked. Let us start with the most basic idea that almost no one explains clearly, because once you understand how normal money actually works, the power of Bitcoin becomes obvious. Normal money, called fiat, is created by governments and central banks. Fiat simply means money that has value because the government says it does. The United States dollar, the euro, and most currencies today are fiat. The government can print or create more of it at any time. This power is called monetary policy. Central banks like the Federal Reserve in the United States decide how much money should exist in the economy. When times are good, they keep the supply steady. When times are bad, or when politicians want to spend more, they print extra money. This is not like printing physical bills in a basement. Today, most money is digital. The central bank simply adds numbers to bank accounts or buys bonds with money that did not exist before. This process is called quantitative easing or money creation. On the surface, it sounds helpful. It can prevent recessions or help during emergencies. But there is a hidden cost. Every time more money is created, the value of all the existing money goes down slightly. This is inflation. It is not just rising prices. It is your money quietly losing purchasing power. $1 today buys less than $1 yesterday. Over time, this hidden tax hits savers, wage earners, and anyone who holds cash the hardest. The people who benefit most are those closest to the money creation: the banks, the government, and big institutions that get the new money first before prices rise. This is called the Cant effect. The new money flows to the powerful first. By the time it reaches ordinary people, it has already lost value. Governments love this system because it lets them spend without raising taxes directly. They can fund wars, bailouts, or big programs simply by creating more money. The cost is spread across everyone through inflation. It is a silent way to take value from citizens without them fully realizing it. Bitcoin was designed from day one to be the opposite of this system. In 2008, a person or group using the name Satoshi Nakamoto released a white paper describing a new kind of digital money. The core rule was simple and revolutionary: only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. This limit is hard-coded into the software. No government, no central bank, and no person can change it. New Bitcoin is created only through mining a process where computers solve complex math problems to secure the network. The reward for mining gets cut in half every 4 years in an event called the halving. This makes the supply predictable and scarce, like digital gold. Unlike fiat money, Bitcoin cannot be printed on demand. It cannot be inflated away by politicians. It cannot be used to fund endless spending without consequences. This scarcity is what gives Bitcoin its value. It is money that no single authority can control or dilute. That single feature is exactly why many governments do not like it. They lose their biggest tool, the ability to print money whenever they feel like it. They cannot quietly inflate away debt or stimulate the economy as easily. They cannot use monetary policy to reward friends or punish enemies. Bitcoin forces governments to live within their means, in a way fiat money never did. It returns power to individuals and takes it away from central planners. The real-life example that shows this tension most clearly is Argentina. For years, the Argentine government printed enormous amounts of money to fund spending. Inflation hit over 200% in some years. The peso lost value so quickly that people could not keep savings in their own currency. Prices doubled every few months. Ordinary families watched their life savings disappear. In response, many turned to Bitcoin and USDT stablecoins to protect what they had. They used it to save and to move money across borders without government interference. The government tried to restrict or ban it because they could not control or tax it easily. They saw Bitcoin as a threat to their monetary power. People in Argentina use Bitcoin not because they love technology, but because it gave them a way to escape the hidden tax of inflation. Similar stories are happening in countries like Venezuela, Turkey, and Lebanon, where governments printed money until their currencies collapsed. In each case, Bitcoin became a tool for survival. It let people protect their wealth when their own government destroyed it. This is the deeper reason governments hate Bitcoin. It gives ordinary people an exit ramp from bad monetary policy. It cannot be printed or confiscated as easily as bank accounts. It lets individuals say no to inflation and bad decisions made in capital cities. The energetic reality is that governments have grown used to unlimited power over money. They can create currency to solve short-term problems. They can bail out banks or fund programs without raising taxes openly. Bitcoin breaks that power. It forces discipline. It forces governments to be honest about spending because they cannot simply print more to cover mistakes. This is why you see countries like China banning Bitcoin mining and trading, while El Salvador made it legal tender. Some governments see it as a threat to control. Others see it as a tool for freedom and economic growth. The battle is not really about technology. It is about who gets to control money. Fiat money gives that control to politicians and central bankers. Bitcoin takes it away and gives it back to individuals. That shift is why the fight is so intense. The deeper lesson here is that money is not neutral. The type of money a society uses shapes everything from savings to freedom to power. Fiat money that can be printed endlessly favors governments and big institutions. Scarce money like Bitcoin favors individuals and long-term thinking. Throughout history, every empire that abused its currency eventually paid the price. Rome debased its coins until the empire weakened. Weimar Germany printed money until hyperinflation destroyed the middle class. Modern governments are doing the same thing with digital printing. Bitcoin was created as a direct response to the 2008 financial crisis, when banks were bailed out and ordinary people suffered. Satoshi Nakamoto built it so no one could repeat that mistake. The 21 million cap is not just a technical detail. It is a promise that no one can inflate your money away. That promise is why governments are uncomfortable. They cannot control it. They cannot print it. They cannot use it to fund endless spending without consequences. The energetic parallel that should wake everyone up is how this fight is playing out right now. Some countries are trying to create their own central bank digital currencies to regain control. Others are banning Bitcoin or making it hard to use. A few, like El Salvador, are embracing it. The battle is not over. It is just beginning. Bitcoin is still young. It is still growing. But its core rule, the 21 million cap, cannot be changed. That makes it different from every other money in history. It is money that governments cannot print. That single fact is why they hate it and why millions of people around the world are choosing it anyway. The mature recognition here is that Bitcoin is not just another investment or technology. It is a new form of money designed to protect individuals from the hidden tax of inflation and government overreach. Governments hate it because they cannot control it. They cannot print it. They cannot use it to fund their priorities without consequences. For the first time in modern history, ordinary people have a choice. They can keep using money that politicians can create endlessly, or they can choose money that no one can touch. That choice is what makes Bitcoin so powerful, and why the fight over it will define the future of money for decades to come. From the moment Satoshi Nakamoto released the white paper in 2008, Bitcoin has represented something bigger than just digital money. It represents a world where individuals can hold value that no government can inflate away. It represents a system where trust is placed in math and code instead of politicians and central banks. It represents a quiet revolution that is still unfolding today. Governments understand this threat. That is why the battle continues. Some try to regulate it heavily. Some try to ban it completely. Some are trying to compete with their own digital currencies. But the core promise of Bitcoin remains the same. 21 million, no more, no less. No one can change that rule. That is the feature that makes it different. That is the feature that makes governments nervous. And that is the feature that may one day change how the entire world thinks about money. If this deep dive into why governments hate Bitcoin, they cannot print it, fired you up about seeing the real battle behind modern money, then do me a favor right now. Smash that like button to let the algorithm know this conversation matters. Share this video with every friend and family member who needs to understand how money really works, and let us keep exposing what they do not want you to see. I will catch you in the next one, where we break down the next hidden chapter in the history of money and power. Until then, stay informed, stay skeptical, and remember that the best money is the kind no government can print on demand.